just real quick, we have Kyle Nobach on the left, KJ Harris in the middle, and Logan Ice on the right.
This is for KJ and Logan. I asked Pat about the amount of freshmen that are here this year and expected to contribute right away. You guys were obviously in positions where you had to do that. Is that something that you think is helpful as far as communicating to those guys what's expected of them?
Yeah, when I came in as a freshman, I had Ben Wetzler and Jace Fry and Michael Conforto, and they did just what we're hoping to do and help the younger guys that we expect to contribute, help them out and understand what it's like to play in the Pac-12, to play Division I baseball. So to be able to help them is what we need to do, and we need to take ownership of that. I think we're doing a pretty good job right now. Like Kay said, leadership at times has been a little bit questionable from our standpoint, and to help these young freshmen understand what it's like to play in the Pac-12. I think we need to get that across a little bit better. And there's points that we do get across, and there's points that we don't. But I think we need to drive that home a little more as we get closer here.
Yeah, just adding on to that, I think we have a great group of guys that just came in, like Case was saying earlier. I mean, they're all fun to work with and to play with. So, I mean, the best part for me is they listen, and that's a big thing too. You know, I mean, being as leaders, you know, you hope for the guys to really retain what's going on. Because, I mean, I remember when I was a freshman going into Arizona, I had a bunch of butterflies. I mean, it's a big deal. You're in that big stadium, and you know, we like to tell them a lot of times to just relax and just know what you know how to do, and just have fun with it.
Just for all of you guys, I mean, given that there are 5 captains, but you know, like Pat alluded to, maybe the leadership isn't always there the way he wants it. Is there an area in which that can change and can get better before the season starts?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, picking up intensity and energy, and because a practice, you can't really match the energy of what a game consists of. You know, it's tough, but trying to get to that intensity level to where we're kind of like just touching the surface of that, and so guys kind of get the feeling of what it is, because it's really competitive, you know, when you get rolling. And I think that's the big thing that he's talking about, you know, just having that sense of urgency that, you know, we just need to get after it and just be intense and flying around and just creating energy, you know.
Logan, you mentioned earlier when you were a freshman, you had Ben Wetzler, Jace Fry, and then you had Andrew Moore last year. Now that you're one of the older players and a captain, how have you approached this year different, you know, being a catcher with rotation that's still kind of in flux?
For anyone that really knows me, I'm not the most in your face. I mean, we got Kyle over here who's trying to run through a wall if he could. I don't think that's necessarily me. More of a intellectual guy. Like to think about the game in a little more, analytic standpoint. So I try to bring that aspect to these young kids, to the team. I'm probably not going to blow you up, but I'm going to try to comfort you, but also allow you to know when you mess up and when you do things right, what's which. So I've been just trying to find the guys that you can kind of get under their skin a little bit by riding them a little bit, and guys that don't like that and they don't respond to it well. It happens with position players too. Cases, that's his biggest job, is to find out what makes people tick, and that's kind of what I've tried to do thus far this year, is try to find what ticks with those pitchers and let that flow over to the position players as well.
KJ, you're coming off that big freshman season, and your name's appearing on all these All-American teams to start the year. Does that add any pressure to you, or do you think about that very much?
You know, honestly, I do not think about it at all. I mean, the goal here for us is, you know, to have a great season as a team, and in whichever way I can contribute and help our team out and winning games is really all that matters to me.
And the team has been to the tournament, I don't know how many years in a row, 7, 8, something like that. And with a lot of key players coming back, do you expect just to be back there, or do you think it's very difficult just to advance that far?
I think that like Case was saying earlier, it's something that you need to elevate your game. I mean, I did have a good season last year, but I mean, it's working on the little things and just getting better in kind of any way I possibly can. I mean, mentally, also physically, and just sticking with the plan and sticking with the same approach I had last year. Just going out there, having fun and playing and trying to win some games.
You guys have a lot of depth and trying to develop that versatility. And last year with some injuries and stuff, players had to step in. How important is that? Because it could be difficult if you've always played, short or always played second to maybe try that. How important is that really? You guys saw it last year with guys stepping in to develop that now and gain that confidence so that when guys have to step in, can do that. Logan and Kyle.
I would say, I mean, it comes down to just wanting to win. I don't think our infield is pretty tight right now just because that's the recruiting class that we brought in had a lot of infielders in it. And they all want to play. If you told them that they were going to have to play second base and they were a shortstop or play third or play first or play left field or center field to get on the field, I think any one of them would say, yeah, sign me up. I'll play that position. They still get a hit. They still get to run around out there, and they still are contributing to the team and helping us get to where we want to go. So I think it just comes down to wanting to win, getting on the field any way they can.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing Logan was saying. And, I mean, we're all athletes, and, if we have to play another position, it's just all about competing. I remember Case told us a story about Darwin. He hurt his hand in, I don't know, Omaha in 06 or something, and told Coach, hey, I can't pick up a ground ball, but I can play the outfield, and put him in left field, and made a crazy catch and relayed a ball in. So it just comes down to competing and, like Logan said, trying to get on the field and just trying to win in any way possible,
Logan and KJ, of the freshman arms, who have stood out to you guys so far?
I could name quite a few of them. I'll kind of go off of what Case said. Jordan Britton he's got some pretty good stuff. Anytime you got a left-handed arm, they come at a premium. They're hard to find, guys that can run the ball up there in the upper 80s, low 90s, and still throw strikes. And they're just hard to hit. You ask any hitter, they typically don't like to face a left-hander that's got some movement and that can run balls away from them. So he's done a good job. We got some other arms. I don't know. KJ, you want to touch on some other arms that you got?
I mean, I think JB is definitely a guy that's out there. I mean, we talked to Coach Case and Yeski about him. He has a lot of movement on his ball. I mean, we've all faced him during the fall, and we see a lot of potential there. But I mean, I know me and Logan are probably missing some guys here and there.
I'd say there's a couple other ones. Bryce Femmel, a middle infielder. Actually, I think he came in as a corner infielder, third baseman. Kid from California, and he, like Steve was saying, went from an infielder to, he was kind of doing both infield and pitching. I think with the infield depth that we had, he found himself more willing to pitch and has a pretty lively arm, and he's developed a lot with Coach Yeski and in that aspect. And he's filled the zone up, and he looks pretty good for not being on the hill for as long as some other guys have been. I think Tommy Paul, a tall, lanky, right-handed pitcher. He's got some really good stuff. I just think at this point, a little more confidence would help him out. Stuff's there. There's no doubt about it. He's a 6'6", lanky, right-handed pitcher. Ball gets on you. It's hard to pick up. It comes downhill at you. But I just don't think he is fully committed to himself and understanding that he's good and he's here for a reason, not just because he happened to roll into Oregon State, and he's gonna pitch, and he needs to understand that he's gonna pitch.
You guys were definitely a young team last year. Obviously, you guys are still a pretty young team this year, but specifically KJ, for you guys in your second year with you and Christian, do you guys feel more of a comfort coming into this year now that you guys really know what it's like?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess a big thing, is just kind of the level and the intensity of the game. I mean, like Kyle was saying on earlier, I mean, it's hard to bring that to practice because it's so surreal, you know, I still remember my first game when I was standing on those white lines, you know, looking and singing the national anthem, and it was just kind of one of those moments where you come into realization, like, wow, this is what I worked for, and today's the first day of it. So, I mean, we're all excited for it. I mean, we are preaching to the guys, just consistently telling them to just play and to just have fun. I mean, I remember last year there was a few times where I got nervous and just kind of the anxiety as the game got to me. And, you know, a big thing for me is preaching to these guys to just not let that happen to them, and because we've all been through it. I mean, so we're just really excited for it.
And for all three of you guys, with the late run you got, the late rally that you guys really had at the end of last season, do you guys feel there's sort of a momentum carrying over into this offseason and into this season as well? I know you guys are still trying to really help these freshmen get acclimated with the college game, but do you feel that way?
You know, I think each year is separate. It's hard to say that there's, you know, not some of that, but it's a completely different team. We lost players, we lost Andrew, we lost Jeff, we lost Reeser, we lost guys. So to say that this team's the same as that team and that we're going to ride off of that momentum, I don't think that'd be fair to this team. I think the competitive aspects of this team is extremely high, and I know everyone wants to get on the field, and there's been nobody that I've seen that is like just passive and doesn't want to get on the field. They all want to get on the field, and I think that's what's going to drive us and give us momentum going into the season, is that people want to get on the field, and there's competition 1 through 9, and even in the starting rotation, the bullpen. So I think that's more the momentum side of things rather than last year, just because the team is completely different.
Kyle, I wanted to ask you what Coach Casey somewhat humorously alluded to last fall when you figured some things out from last fall to the time you started to make big plays. So what happened for you last year from the fall to into the season where you became a guy making plays all over the field?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's kind of a thing that all freshmen, you know, coming into it's a great program for baseball. Coach Casey's an unbelievable coach. He knows exactly what he's doing, and it's not that he, you know, didn't like me as a person or anything like that, but I mean, he was challenging me, you know, and he wanted me to be challenged very much, and he wanted me just to learn that it's more of a competitive thing and not think, you know, just like let your athletic ability just take over. So I think that was more of a sense of what kind of changed. I don't know. I just didn't worry about it, and I just started realizing, like, wow, like I can play the game very well, and just competing and just showing a passion and emotions for the game. Like, it's an emotional game, and just playing the game as hard as I could. And I think that was more of a sense of, you know, just getting after it and competing and wanting to beat somebody.
But there was even improvement in the craft of reading a fly ball and going to get it, too, right? I mean, there were some practical things that happened in terms of what the great outfielder you become.
Yeah, and Case kind of says it all the time. When you're fearful or you're passive, like, it affects the way you play the game. And obviously that was probably part of it. But, I mean, we work very hard. You know, our Coach Bailey's a great outfield coach. He challenges us. He hits us really hard balls that he expects us to catch all the time in practice. So, obviously, credit to that. But, yeah, I mean, just playing fearless. That's what it comes down to. And just, I don't know. I always thought about it as running and catching a touchdown pass, just running and catch football. So,
KJ, after the great year you had playing for Team USA, just in terms of your own mechanics, your game, any adjustments? Baseball's a game of adjustments constantly. Have you done anything? Have you looked at every swing you had last year and come to some conclusions about what kind of hitter you want to be this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big word for me that I'm trying to get to is consistency. I mean, during the year I went through a little phase where I struck out a lot, and that's on me because of the fact that I was swinging at balls in the dirt. I started to guess at pitches and just kind of got into a rut there. But I think a big thing for me is just going out there and just playing. I mean, I still remembered the times that I went through these these little ruts in my hitting was because of the fact that I was overthinking the game instead of just playing it. So, I mean, I'm just looking to, you know, just expect what I'm going to get as a hitter. I mean, just kind of working with my approach and knowing what I'm going to get and working with that. But, I mean, I'm just been kind of just working on being more consistent as an overall hitter and as a complete player.
Logan, in terms of the depth at catching, you're the guy clearly, but what else are you seeing from guys that are listed on the roster as catchers? It doesn't include KJ. I don't know, KJ, are you going to do any catching at all this year? Is that in the plan? And Logan, could you address catching depth?
Yeah, I mean, we got some. I mean, KJ's sitting next to me. He is catching. I don't, you know. You can talk to Hank on that one about the media.
It's Hank's call.
Yeah, Hank decided he wasn't a catcher, but he is a catcher. No, but KJ will catch. We got two young freshmen, Alex O'Rourke and Zach Taylor. Both making great strides. Obviously, in catching, there's different aspects. Flexibility slows guys down. Just the fear to screw up, like Kyle was talking about, screw some guys up, they get overwhelmed with it. We haven't had as much of that anxiety behind the plate, which is awesome to see. And then Michael Gretler is starting to make strides behind the plate. They moved him back there, and he's a really big-bodied kid, tall, lanky, and they're just seeing what they can get out of him. He's doing a really good job. He's working hard. He's a hard worker. So those three, along with KJ, are the catching core. But I'm thinking with the experience that KJ's had, he's caught a lot. There's no reason why he couldn't catch and why he shouldn't catch.
Do you want to catch more, KJ? Is that something you hope you can do this year?
Yes, I mean, I definitely do. I mean, I came out of high school as a catcher too, but it's also nice to, play first base. And like Case was saying earlier, it's nice to learn how to play, different positions and everything. But I do definitely want to get back there.
Logan and anyone who wants to take this on, with the young guys and all this competition, and if you talk about maybe fear of failure when you first come into a program, but also the competition part of it, trying to get into the lineup. Do you see, looking at the guys now, the young guys fighting for spots, do you see a combination of both? Little fearfulness in these early workouts or competitive zeal, I'm going to win this job?
I would say both. Yeah, I mean, it'd be unfair for me to say it's one or the other. You don't really know exactly what they're thinking. But sometimes I think the fear sets in when they're afraid that they're not performing up to the person in front of them or the person they're going against, instead of just playing the game and understanding what they got to do to be the best they can at what they do. I mean, to say certain guys are the same player because they're at the same position, they're not. I mean, to say Trevor's the same as Nick and Nick's the same as Caden and Caden's the same as Andy, it would be unfair because they don't play the same way. But in the same aspect, they are playing the same position, fighting. So I don't know. I'm sure it's a combination of fear of the person in front of them or the person next to them. But it's also they are competitive. They're going to try to get every little advantage they can to get on the field, like I said. So I think it's a little combination of both.
Either of you guys any comment on that?
I said it all.
Yeah.
Took care of it.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah, this question is for all three of you guys. Just generally, do you guys believe you have the tools to take Oregon State back to the College World Series, and how are you guys going to accomplish that?
I mean, I definitely do think so. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. Just as a team, we're just excited to get after it and win a lot of games this season. But all I know is that we've worked real hard this off season, and I think overall as a team we made a lot of strides, and that puts us in a really good position to go far and to try to do something with this year.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just taking it day by day. I mean, Omaha is in the middle of June, and it's February. We haven't even played a game yet. So, obviously we're working on today, and we want to continue to make it there. Like KJ said, that is the ultimate goal. But I think right now that we're just kind of looking forward at what we got to do at practice here when we leave here. So, I mean, yeah, obviously we want to go to Omaha and stuff, but just trying to be the best team that we can be is going to be what gets us there. So,
Yeah, I'm the last one to speak here, so I'm kind of gonna reiterate what they said. But Omaha's. I haven't been yet. I've heard great things about it, and that would be awesome to go. I think we got the tools to go there. We got the pitching, we got the hitting, we got the defense. But at the same time, it's more than just the tools you got.
Who's hot?
It comes down to just fluke things happen, crazy things happen. We go down to Dallas last year, and there's water all over the field and fish in the outfield, and just some absolute crazy things that happened. And no excuse for the outcome of that regional, but just things happen. People getting put in better situations than other, and it really just comes down to winning, like we pretty much preached the whole time. We want to go out there and compete and win, and that's what it's going to come down to, who wants it more.
All right, thanks, guys. Let's get to practice.